A very warm welcome to you as you join us on today's episode of Tax Matters. Today on the program, we are continuing our X-ray of 6 months of Mr. Muhammad Nami, Executive Chairman ECFIRS, and his team of board and management in office. Mr. Nami formally assumed office on December 19, 2019. His appointment was accompanied by the full complement of a board which was inaugurated on January 16, 2020. At various stages on the journey, promises have been made and targets have been set. At the inauguration of the board, Mr. Nami set the tone for his first 100 days in office.
Our efforts to reposition the service for better service to our esteemed taxpayers will be anchored on 4 cardinal pillars. 1. Rebuilding ECFIRS institutional framework. 2. Robust collaboration with stakeholders. 3. Building a customer taxpayer-centric institution. 4. Data-centric institution.
These cardinal points were further amplified into a 14-point agenda.
Portion to that, but I intend to optimize the following during the first 100 days in office. 1. Building capacity of staff for effective service delivery. Closing on all lien cases in order to build new enforcement strategies. Restructuring and repositioning of audit function. Review of structures for optimal performance has already commenced and will be unveiled at ECFIRS corporate strategy retreat that will be holding in February to define roles and targeting setting. 6. Capacity building on finance bill and other tax programs. 7. Review of tax clearance certificate administration processes, revamping of integrated tax administration system ITAS, reposition of large tax and medium tax offices, determination of collection of focus, key performance indicators, and other key service parameters, reposition of collections, reporting, and accounting, overhauling of critical ICT infrastructure which are cost-effective for efficient service delivery.
Closing of lien cases, restructuring of audit function, overhauling of critical ICT infrastructure, and all that and all that. Still talking about promises, agenda setting, and target setting. Mr. Nami continued to share his dreams and vision with critical stakeholders and staff everywhere he went. Courtesy calls have been paid from far and near, from professional bodies to sister governmental organizations. In return, the Executive Chairman ECFIRS has been visiting sister governmental organizations where he has been warmly received. Mr. Nami has also been visiting ECFIRS formations across the country, familiarizing himself with staff, processes, and procedures. On his tour of the country, which began in the southwest, Mr. Nami has been visiting state governors. The nationwide tour was put on hold by the COVID-19 lockdown and is scheduled to resume in earnest as soon as the lockdown is fully lifted. Mr. Nami has also played host to the governor of his home state, Niger State, who led a high-powered delegation from the state on a solidarity visit. On that occasion, Mr. Nami displayed an uncommon understanding of his brief.
The tax payment culture in Nigeria is a huge challenge. Nigeria is #1 economy on the continent of Africa, but when it comes to payment of taxation or paying, the culture of paying taxes, the reverse becomes the case. What I mean by this is that our tax ratio to gross domestic product as at 2018 was just about 6.3%. When you compare it to that of South Africa, which is the second largest economy, South Africa has as high as 27%. And when you look at it and compare it also to the average obtainable in Africa, Nigeria has 6.3. The average obtainable in Africa is 17%. So this fall in oil price is a huge problem that we have to holistically look at, provide solution, and tell ourselves the truth. Our overhead cannot continue to grow. For some of you that have ministry, department, and agencies under you, you cannot be generating this money, spend it, and remit operating surplus going forward. The ideal thing to do is for you to generate, remit, submit your budget to either federal government or to your state government, and budget provisions are made by you, deliberated upon by the federal or state house of assemblies, and the amount due to each ministry, department, and agencies are released to them as against the current practice where operating surpluses are calculated based on the template, dictation, and the plans by management of such ministry, department, and agencies. That is what we do here, because if we are able to generate the 8.5 trillion naira, is remitted directly to the TACA. So government approved 4% cost of collection on the non-oil taxes only. So if that is replicated in other agencies of federal government, I think it will help you in addressing some of the issues.
Mr. Nami had specific words of advice for the states.
Another thing we should do quickly is how to bring the informal sector to taxation. This is necessary because everybody works for one ministry, department, agency, for instance. And at the end of each month, salaries are paid to you. And those salaries don't come to you gross, they come net of taxes. These taxes you paid are used for provision of critical infrastructure, particular road infrastructure. While the man next to your door has about 100 trucks which ply these roads, but unfortunately, this money is not in the tax net. So they use your tax money to construct these roads, but the owner of the trucks that ply goods from Lagos to Maiduguri is not paying taxes. It's an injustice that you should go home and think of how to address. We must be able to deploy technology too, because virtually every home today, everybody has an ATM card for purpose of doing business. So I think if those revenues are generated electronically, it will go a long way in helping us.
Now to a reason for all this. How has Mr. Nami and his team fared so far in office? Tax Matters spoke to some top management staff and leaders of staff unions, wanting to know from them the assessment of Mr. Nami in office so far.
Since assumption of a duty to ECFIRS as Chief Executive of Federal Inland Revenue Service, Alhaji Muhammad Nami can be assessed in the following ways. Number one, he has been able to reduce or remove administrative bottleneck. And in doing justice to this, he has been able to appoint coordinating directors on acting capacity. And all these people whereby parents have to wait for federal allocation before staff salaries are paid. But since he came on board, he's been able to reduce costs. All these contract services, he's been able to reduce it to the barest minimum, such that FRS can boast of having 2-3 months salaries. So as it is today, there is financial sanity in the system. Another area is the issue of job ownership. Long before he came on board, there are so much issues that have to do with tax audit, whereby the responsibilities of this function is given out to consultancy services. But since he came on board, in fact, he reversed the trend, whereby staff have direction. He has given back this job to the staff. So staff has taken full ownership of this job. So that is another area where he has fared very well. Another thing is our organogram. He has been able to create more vacancies after approving the structure. So now, as it is, FRS will have a very good and very beautiful structure. So everybody, regardless of your rank, you know where you are. But before now, we don't know where we are. So we have organogram in place, and we have more vacancies being created, more departments, and a lot of people have been promoted. A lot of people have been appointed to occupy all these positions in acting capacity. We have the issue of exit package. Before now, we have problem with our exit package, whereby lump sum, are removed from our exit package. But which is coming, is giving us confidence. Is be able to give us confidence that when you are leaving the system, you will leave with a very good package through the reintroduction of BOT. So I think, as far as I'm concerned, he has done marvelously well in the system since he assumed duty. Another area too is execution of 8 years rule. Before he came on board, we have some directors. In fact, we have positions that were occupied by people who have spent more than 8 years. And all of them are directors. Now, we have a kind of structure that looks like a pyramid, where the top is narrow and the base is wide. So to do justice to this, he felt that those directors that have spent more than 8 years should go. And when you go, at least those that are behind, those deputy directors, will have the opportunity of attaining that position of directors. So that is exactly what he has succeeded in doing. So he has executed that plan, and we support him, and we will still support him.
So far, it has been a successful period, a highly successful period. And success in the sense that the organization has been restructured and repositioned to make it a far stronger organization than when he met it. How is it far stronger? How is it a stronger organization? It's a stronger organization in the sense that now all the various operational departments of FIRS are now carrying out the functions they are statutorily empowered to perform, unlike in the past when this was not the case. The staff are also actively involved in strategizing, in planning, and in actualizing the plans made for the organization. And the staff are actively working, despite all odds, to ensure that organizational objectives are met.
He has done excellently well, considering where we are coming from, starting from, the structure of the service, putting it in place, creating vacancies for staff by creating offices about 15 in number so as to decongest and give service to taxpayers. He has also, motivated staff in various ways. And in terms of collection for the first quarter, we also exceeded greatly compared to what we did in 2019. We had almost 156 billion more than we did in first quarter 2019. So, not considering the present COVID pandemic, the service is doing excellently well under his leadership. He also created enabling environment. The tax audit and investigation are now being done by the staff. In terms of challenges, yes, we have some challenges to contend, especially inheriting a lot of debts, which is gradually settling and paying as we get cost of collection. The debts inherited were enormous, but the executive chairman is doing his best to ensure that while the past debts are being settled, the current operations are not jeopardized.
You are still on to tax matters, and we are looking at Muhammad Nami, the journey so far. In the last 6 months, Mr. Nami has also been playing on the world stage. From the World Bank, a delegation came calling at Revenue House. Mr. Nami, who was on hand to receive the delegation, seized the occasion to share with his guests the new way of doing things at the ECFIRS. Still on the world stage, Mr. Nami assumed leadership of the African Tax Administration Forum, ATAF, between the 4th and the 6th of February 2020. ATAF members from across Africa were in Abuja for the 9th Country Correspondence Conference and 4th Express meeting on taxation of the informal sector. The ATAF meeting was in fact the first official engagement of Mr. Nami. Mr. Nami also led the FRS to play host to the West African Tax Administration Forum, WATAF, which was in Abuja from Tuesday the 10th to Wednesday the 12th of March 2020, to hold a seminar on human capital development in tax administration. There is no doubt that it has been a very busy 6 months for Mr. Nami and his team. Let's hear from more of our respondents. Of course, any assessment of the FRS and indeed any revenue collecting agency would be incomplete without a deep look at collection performance. Yes, tax collection. That is the main job of the FRS. As already in the public domain, first quarter collection was on spot. And in spite of the challenges posed by the COVID-19 lockdown, the service also did well in April and May. Let's hear from our respondents.
A lot of milestones have been achieved. In the first instance, he restructured the service by having a new organizational structure with 6 groups and 32 departments. And he also appointed coordinating directors to man those very groups from within the service. Then there were overlapping functions within the service. All of these were addressed. And, he merged all those overlapping functions. And there isn't a kind of an overlap of responsibilities, which was affecting efficiency and effectiveness of the service in delivery on its mandate. He went further to capacitate the offices by funding them, by funding these very offices. Right now, the offices, each office is being funded and they're able to move without any encumbrance. Then he went on to hold a corporate retreat where the strategic direction of the service was discussed with goals, objectives, strategies, key performance indicators of the service addressed service-wide in accordance with the groups, in accordance with the departments, and is being cascaded down to every staff of the service. And he revised the audit process, the tax audit process and investigation process. He unbundled the audit and investigation functions. And of course, one of the novel things he did was the fact that he stopped the outsourcing of the audit function, the assessment function, to external consultants. And He also fast-tracked the process of issuing, so many processes anyway, but specifically in respect of the tax clearance certificate, such that taxpayers can obtain tax clearance certificate without tears right now. As I'm speaking to you, close to 60,000 tax clearance certificates have been issued. When you apply for tax clearance now, within 2 weeks, you obtain tax clearance. In fact, he made it much more easier such that even taxpayers that are owing were being allowed to obtain tax clearance so that they can be able to pursue their businesses. But there were repayment terms that were allowed to be made, or plans, repayment plans by the taxpayer to be able to, enable them obtain their tax clearance. Then the e-tax e-service platform was rejected, and which helped in quality service delivery. And as a matter of fact, some of these things has really been yielding results in terms of the collection performance. In our quarter 1, the collection performance was 1.12 trillion naira, which is higher than the 1.04 trillion naira in quarter 1 for the same period in 2019. And it might interest you to know that this is the highest collection in the history of the service for quarter 1. And for now, of course, to date, as I'm talking, we have achieved about 46% of our overall revenue target.
I can tell you with all modesty that the new ECFIRS has achieved a lot within a short span of 6 months. You will recall that in the first quarter of this year, we posted a record of 15% increase in tax collection, which is far the corresponding quarter for last year. We equally put in place some measures that enhanced productivity, efficiency in the service, as well as the measures that increased ease of doing business and ease of paying taxes. For example, as soon as the EC assumed office, he opened a window for issuance of TCC, which hitherto had been a problem, had posed some difficulty to taxpayers. But he gave a 1 month leeway for taxpayers to be issued their TCC, just for them to be able to pursue their legitimate activities and execute their contracts. Similarly, the EC also approved the lifting of lien on genuine cases of taxpayers whose bank accounts have been closed to reopen, so that they can access their funds and then be able to do business as well. This has added to the ease of doing business, has added to the ease of paying taxes. And it is part of the masterstroke measures he promised when he assumed office that he would put in place to drive the processes in FRS and to achieve the enormous target that has been set for him, which is 8.5 trillion naira.
So far, so good. That is the verdict of all. And we agree. Or what else can you make of the performance of an organization, be it public or private, that has been able to keep afloat in the midst of the dislocation occasioned by the COVID-19 pandemic? For the FRS, its job is well cut out. Assess, collect and account for taxes. And it has been doing just that. On our own part, our job is to inform and educate you on taxes. Let's have your comments on how we are doing and on the tax system in Nigeria through our social media handles. Thank you for watching. See you next week.